Okay, once again, good evening, and welcome to the 14th class in this series. So we have the curriculum for class 14. I'm actually going to start with the review number 4. Review number 3 we did last time. We did a P&L and we did a comparison. And we're going to continue working on this case of we know now the company, Reuven is a CEO. We have Reuven's equity, as we know from the balance sheet. And let's see here. Balance sheet. Okay, have a lot of tabs open. Right? Remember, Reuven equity down at the bottom, he has 28,200 in equity. Why does he have 28,000? Because he put in 500 in the beginning, which was one of our original deposits. Then when we bought the summer home and we backdated to the summer, so we added 27,200. As you can go and double click it again, and you could see the full entries. If we double click on the journal entry, and it'll tell us everything that we entered, and this was the journal entry number 2. Another way of looking at it, if you exit out, is you just do Control Y. That's another shortcut which you gave back in the first handouts. When you do Control Y, when you are by an individual transaction, it will bring you all the debits and credits as if it was just in a different form. It's the same format, just it's a different type of window. It's like a report view. This is a type of report. This isn't the reports window. This is how you customize reports. It says across the top that we're in the reports window. Now, we said over here that Reuven is going to get now $1,000 from Ploni Almoni to pay off his outstanding bills, as well as a retainer for a variety of services to be discussed. What does that mean? So let's close out. If we have our balance sheet, we have our accounts receivable. We have 1,867 open. If you double click on it, you'll see a whole collection of receivables, and you could assume that $670 here for Ploni Almoni, but that's not 100% perfect way to look at it, because you have a bunch of debits and credits, and as you see over here, you have Ploni Almoni had an invoice for $670, and he has a payment for $670, and that wipes that out. We had another Ploni Almoni up here for $300, and this is not where you would look. This window in the balance sheet is a summary view of what your total accounts receivable is. If you want to know by customer, so you could go to the customer and receivables, aging summary or balance summary. The balance summary will tell you Ploni Almoni really owes you $300, and we knew that. But you had to analyze. After you canceled one $670 against the other, and then you found $300. You knew there's a $300 open. But if you had a big company with hundreds of transactions, you'll get completely lost trying to cross-reference in that report. So the report you would use is customer balance summary. Now, if we're receiving $1,000, that would mean that we're getting $300 is for the account receivable. If you're doing a journal entry, you would credit account receivables by $300, and you'll debit the bank, or you'll debit on deposit refunds for $300. But there's $700 remaining, and it's a retainer for a variety of services to be discussed. It means we're getting the whole $1,000, but the $1,000 is not all our income. Sorry, the video wasn't done. The $1,000 is not all our income. Only $300. The $700 is a liability. We owe it to him. Right? We had the same thing last time we discussed with the lawyer. The lawyer gets the money, didn't earn it. The lawyer might have a service fee that they charge, but the money the lawyer collects is a liability to pay out at the closing. This $700 is called unearned revenue, which we're going to have will be also be on the balance sheet as a liability. So that is the first half. So let's go here to customers, and we're going to have you receive a payment, and we will go down to Ploni Amoni. We know we can always just type the word P, the letter P, and Ploni Amoni will show up. And here we have his $300 invoice. Now, we said that the QuickBooks assumes that when you click on an invoice, it's going to take all the money. I mean, it's going to enter if the original amount is 300 and the amount due is 300. And I click over here, the assumption is that it's 300, and that's what it enters over here in the payment amount. But it's a company preference. You could turn it off if you like. And do you want to continue to calculate it? So you could say yes, but don't send the message again. But in this case, we have $1,000. What happens if I do $1,000? So QuickBooks tells us that when we're finished, there's an overpayment of $700. Similar to if we put in 200, there's an underpayment of $100 because the bill is 300. In our case, we have $1,000. Okay, so we're going to leave the credit to be used later. And we are going to save and close. So then QuickBooks tells us that a credit will remain on the customer's account. Okay. So this is version 1 of how we would do this. We received the payment for $1,000 against the invoice for 300, and look what it says here. We have a negative Ploni Amoni 700, which means he doesn't owe us, we owe him. What would that do to our accounts, to our balance sheet? If we go to Window, Balance Sheet, we have $1,000 went off our account receivables. If you recall, before we had 1867, and now we took $1,000 off of it, right? You see the last line, $1,000 came off, and we reduced it from 1867 to 867. But this is not really correct, because in truth, the $1,000 wasn't supposed to be reduced to accounts receivables. Only 300 was supposed to reduce it. And we still have 1567, another 700 to collect. So doing it this way wouldn't do justice to accounts receivables. And you'll see that in your report, when we have our reports, customers and receivables, customer balance summary, there really is $1,500 to collect. There's the 1352, there's the 140, and there's 75. And so this is not correct. So the two ways to remedy this. One way is to make a journal entry. We're going to go to company, make general journal entry. And what we're going to do is we are going to make, incidentally, I took that payment also on the says in 6/9, and I just entered it on 12/30. If you were noticing, so I'm going to change this date back to 6/9. If you were following me and you made the same mistake, so how do you correct mistakes? You just change it. 0609. You might have in your preferences that if you're doing a transaction that's more than 3 months behind, it asks you if you want to correct it. So I already turned off that function. Now I'm back to my journal entry. Make general journal entries. And we're back on 609. That's the date we want the entry to be. And what are we telling it? We're telling it that we have to credit the accounts payable, accounts receivable. Because we took too much money on the accounts receivable side, right? When our asset is account receivables, when we receive money, we credit the account receivables, but now we have to go back and again debit account receivables because we don't want to have a negative receivable. We just want to have a liability. So we're going to go back to account receivables. We're going to debit $700. I'm going to put it back on Ploni Amoni's name. And I'm going to put the credit as liability on Unearned Revenue. Now, you might want to associate it. See, this is going to be a liability account, other current liability, that retainers from customers. Isn't that exactly what we want? Sales tax, security deposits, retainers from customers. So that's where it should have been done. Continue, and we're saving the account. Okay, so we're debiting, we're putting back $700 account receivables and pulling our money, and we're going to put the $700 unearned revenue also to Ploni Amoni. Let's see what, so we're going to know to reference his account. Now, if we close it, look at this. Ploni Amoni is a 0, as it belongs, because it's not on the negative. We go back to the balance sheet, says refresh needed, because now we have the accounts receivables properly at the 1567 as it's supposed to be. And we scroll down, we have a new liability called unearned revenue for 700. We double click on that, we see it's for Ploni Amoni. Okay, again, one more time. By making the journal entry, where is this here? Let's go back to unearned revenue. What do? With the control Y, we put back the account receivables. Account receivables are like assets that go up on the debit side. Instead of being a negative, we put back the 700, so now it went back to 0. And we made a credit, which is liabilities are on the credit side, for $700. Okay, so that took care of part 1. I don't see any questions. Again, feel free to ask if you have questions. Okay. Incidentally, we have here pay bills. We have open balances still to Con Edison, to National Grid, to McCarthy, this farm store. If I would write a check today for $126 to National Grid, but I didn't do it through the portal, which they tell us to do. We click on this, and it's 126, and we create a check, and it's gonna clear it out. But instead, I wrote a check. I wrote a check to National Grid, and it tells us you have unpaid bills with the vendors, and to work in the pay bills window to connect the bill correctly, because you want to connect it. But I didn't do that. I just went to go pay. I didn't go to go pay bills. I wrote my check for 126. But if I choose account utilities, what's going to happen is it's going to be a new expense, right? I have the first 126, which is a bill, which is unpaid, and I have a new check for a new expense of 126. So I think I'm a smart aleck, and I'm going to write accounts payable, right? Accounts payable, 126. And before I press save, let's go check the accounts payable in the vendor section. You see here, National Grid is owed 126. And I'm going to continue writing my check. Again, how do I go? I go back to my check, Control W. I'm still here. Continue editing. And I think, okay, it's my accounts payable for National Grid. I paid my check. I paid my bill. If I save and close, National Grid here will zero out. It becomes 0. If I go to my balance sheet, my accounts payable also went down to 578. It shows I paid National Grid 126. And if I go to my paid vendors, my bill is still open. The bill for 126 is still here. So what do? I paid off, right? The report is showing by the vendor, I owe him 0, right? It went from 126 to 0. I look at my balance sheet, also shows, obviously, that it was reduced from 808, from 704 to 578. And I still have him in my pay bills window. Now, how do you get rid of this? So if you would click on National Grid, right, it will tell you you have a credit available for 126. You always have to link the bill. The right way to do it is to pay the bill straight from the pay vendor's window. But if you didn't, you wrote your check. If you choose the account utilities, it's a new expense. So it would still show 126 in the vendor center. because you have two bills of 126. One that you entered as a bill, one is you wrote out straight as a check. But because I chose account payables, so the master account was reset to zero. But the individual bill is here, and it leaves me a credit which I apply. So I set the credit. So right now, I'm going to pay 126. Instead, it's going to take the credit and make credits use 126, and I could pay the bill with $0. Let's see. See, now you're going to have a bound due 126. It's carrying over the credit of 126, and I'll pay off National Grid, but with $0. And this is all on 12/30. Okay, now the same thing would happen. We know it's a mirror image on the accounts receivables. If I would make, in this case, instead of writing a check, I'll make a journal entry. Who do we have in customers owe this money? We have here Rabbi, let's say, Mrs. Cook, for example. If she came in and brought me $140 and I made a general entry, because I think I'm smart, a journal entry, I wrote customers, an extra company make journal entries. I would write, same thing, I would say accounts receivables, right? The reverse. Before the account receivable, I'm going to credit it because I'm receiving money from who? From Mrs. Cook. Right? I'm doing the reverse of what we put back the receivable from pulling out money. Now I'm undoing the receivable from Mrs. Cook. And I'm going to write, where did the money go? I'm going to debit. Can I undo? We could put into undeposited funds. We can take out, but we could put in. Because when you put into undeposited funds, okay, we'll get to it in a second. Let's use cash. Okay, so we have Chase. I'm putting in the bank 140 and I'm crediting the account receivables 140. It's going to tell me again, Mrs. Cook is zero, right? Mrs. Cook, because she owed us 140 and now we paid up she paid up to 140. But if I would go back to the open invoices again, reports, customers receivables, customer balance summary, it won't show up Mrs. Cook here because she's eliminated the same way we eliminated money on the general customer balance summary. But if I would want to receive a payment from Mrs. Cook, right, her invoice is still open, right? She still has $140. And the answer is unused credits across this account is 140. The same way when we wrote out a check to accounts payable. So the check made a journal entry. That's what it does behind the scenes. It makes journal entries. And it paid off the National Grid, but the bill is still open and I had to set the credit. The same thing will be with receiving payments. If I receive the payments not against the invoice, I'll have to go make a separate activity, which is called not to receive $140, but to pay the invoice off, I have to apply the credit. And the credit was also from today. And now I'm using the credit and I'm no money. And say that is how we clear out invoices and bills, right? Invoices from customers and bills from vendors. If it wasn't done correctly, you will have to set the credits. The same thing will be if you have a credit memo, right? If I do a credit memo, what is here? Create invoices. Create a memo or a refund. If I would put a $50 memo, credit memo, let's see, let's get out of this one. What was their service? Chaim Yanko, he got $225 and he had a payment of $150. Actually, I should actually check his bill. That's what I wanted to check. His bill was for what service? It was for web design. And we made an error, and we found out that really it was only supposed to be 2 hours of web design. So I want to create a credit memo of 1 hour of web design. Okay, so I'm going to go credit memo, WD, quantity 1, right? So he's going to get a credit of $75. You could retain as available credit or apply it to an invoice. So this will be a similar thing as using a credit. I could just leave it as a credit, or I could apply it, if I were to apply it to the invoice right now, or I give him a refund. We might have a policy, we don't give money back. But we'll apply it to another invoice. We don't have another invoice. Actually, we do have an invoice to apply it to. We have here $75. So I could use this invoice, which still amount due 75, and pay off the credit. Or I could say I whited out the balance because I didn't use a credit. So then I have to go to receive payments again. And you can see the invoice is still open, $75. And there's still available credit, and I'll apply the credit the same way. So this credit feature is there for whether you made a credit memo and you didn't apply it right away to the invoice because you weren't sure which invoice to apply it to, whether you received the payment without applying it to invoice, whether you made a journal entry. Once you get the idea of how the debits and the credits work, which by now we should have a fairly good foundation, and we know what belongs on the balance sheet and what's liabilities, we know where under income would be if it's not earned, it's not income. If it's not revenue, it's a liability. Okay, so this is between the lines in the middle of 4. So we got us $1,000. Fine. Let's a moment stop and make a deposit. Okay, and stand to add this into future curriculum. We did this receive payment, not applied to the bill through a journal entry. We paid a check to account payable without paying it from the vendors. Now we're going to make a deposit. Banking, make deposits. We have still $3 from a long time ago, and Plony Amoni's $1,000. So we have payroll to cover, right? So let's put it. We got a $525 to $3. Let's put it in for. Okay, we'll put it in for $526. Let's say that first $3, and then we'll put in the pay cash for $1,000. Plony Amoni always pays cash because we don't even know where he gets his money from. And we'll put it for, let's say, 6.9 or 6.10. It's fine. And now we have more money in the bank. Now, it doesn't mean it's all ours. We owe money. But if we go to our Chase account, instead of being negative 1,500, we are only negative 114, thanks to the 140 from Mrs. Cook, who came at the end of the year. But we're almost there. We're almost going to get to cover our checks. Now, this is going to cover the checks for the payroll, 183, 915, 277. Keep in mind that the balance of 183 to 200, from 915 to 1,000, 277 to 300, right? That's already right here, over $120, plus the matching funds of 240, plus other taxes. There should be about another $250 in payroll liabilities. And if you load down to liabilities, payroll, you actually have closer to $300 of payroll liabilities. It's there. It doesn't disappear. Okay. Let me see so far questions we had in this first part. I'm not sure what the question from National Grid is, so you have to ask it again with more detail. We're actually here. Let's do this. So, Moshe, you had a question? Hello? Is Moshe on the air?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was confused when you did the national grid. You wrote out a check and then.
So the correct way to pay bills is going vendor and pay bills.
Right.
Just like the same way to get money from customers is customers and receive payments.
Right.
But instead, like I said, we're looking at the chart of accounts, right? So there are, let's see here, there are expense accounts and there are liability accounts, right? Yeah,
Right.
accounts payable is liability. Expense is what you have utilities. Utilities is all the way in the bottom. Letter U is an expense. If I write a check using account utilities, it's a new expense, right? It has nothing to do with taking care of my balances that are owed, right? So I went to in the check, I made sure to edit utilities to accounts payable, right?
Okay. Yeah.
I use accounts payable, and I even choose the name National Grid because it forces you to, when you choose account receivables, account payable,
Right, to put in a name.
You have to put in the name. Otherwise, it can tell you it's an error. And you can only pay one accounts payable or one account receivable at a time. You can't make one journal entry that has 3 account payables with different names. Right? So I paid account payable. So the master view, which will be in the vendor center, says, okay, you had one bill that you paid 126. You have one bill which was you didn't tell us which bill, but you paid us 126 for a bill. So yeah, it'll be similar to $700, right? You have a negative 126, a positive 126, the net's set at 0.
Right.
But the fact is that the bill is still open because that bill didn't get a check.
Wasn't received.
So
right.
what does it do? It leaves the credit hanging in limbo. I once went into the company, I saw $70,000 in paid bills. So what's going on here? And then I start clicking and I see there's like $65,000 of credits sitting around hiding underneath them. So you have to apply all the credits to all the invoices, sometimes, and you never know, sometimes cleanup work can be harder than entering right the first time because you don't know, maybe some of those credits were really new expenses, or maybe some of those that were really paying off the liabilities was entered as a new expense and you don't get credit for it. That means I only had one bill. In the summer I went, I had a low electricity bill, 126. I had a bill 126, and then I wrote out a check, and my computer says still open. So I go out and pay another 126. So I paid 252. The company's happy.
Right. So that's what I have now.
What?
I have like National Grid. I have a negative 252.
You have negative 252 because you never entered the bill for 126 in the first place. That bill we put in class number 2 or 3. In the first class, we created National Grid. We had
right, a negative 126.
And that was left open. We never paid it.
Right, so I paid it. So I paid it with a check, and now.
No, so you paid it. Should be back to wait. You paid it through paid vendors, or paid bills, or you paid it.
I did it that you wrote out a check for 126.
But what was the chart in the account? The bottom, in the check, it always gives you the chart of accounts. That's how it classifies the expenses. In your chart.
So I did it as accounts payable.
Okay, fine. So I had the name because it was to National Grid. So why you negative 1? So if you had a bill for 126 and you wrote out a check for 126 to the same account payable, you would end up at 0. You wouldn't have a negative.
Oh, I did something wrong. So what did I do wrong? I have on 6/9, I have a check for Citibank for 126, and I have a bill payment check of Chase for 126.
I just wrote it. So you paid it a long time ago. So you only, and it would be a negative 126. Why a negative 232?
252? I don't know.
So you gave them 3 checks then.
Which one? What am I supposed to have by National?
Yeah, go to National Grid. You'll see what you have. Do you have 1 check or 2 checks? I have a bill.
I have 1 check.
And I have a check. The reason why I have a bill payment check, really, whenever you have a bill, you can get a bill payment check. What I did was I wrote out a check, so I gave a check, but I had a credit. So whenever you go to pay vendors with the credit, it's going to issue a 0 stub check for $0. You open it up.
Oh, okay, I realized my mistake. So,
See, QuickBooks generates 0 transaction fit because to make a payment stub.
so I can delete this, right? Oops. Okay. Fine, I got it.
So what do you do now? You by negative or you by 0?
Now by negative 126.
So it's still an issue. If you go to National Grid, how many entries do you have on the National Grid?
I only have a check of Citibank for 126. For negative 126.
No, on the right says negative 126. What do you have on the left screen? It's a 0?
Minute.
Negative is because it's a bill. It's an expense. They put a negative mark. If you would go to customers, it'll be a positive number because it's a plus.
I'm confused.
You have, numbers by customers, the numbers are positive because their money coming in.
Right.
By vendors, on the right side, it puts the negatives because check. What do you have under National Grid? You had a bill.
No, I only have a check.
Like I do. I had a bill for 126.
Right.
Check for
Where did that
126.
bill go?
You deleted the bill just now. So that's another. If you deleted the bill, so there was never a bill. You wrote a check to accounts payable. For
I deleted the bill, so that's my problem.
Wait, so you deleted the bill for 126.
So I have
But you have a check going for accounts payable, so that's a negative. If you would have just an expense called utilities, so that because you don't owe them any money. You never entered a bill. You just wrote a check for like you went to sushi, right?
Let me just
We
see
had to tell
something.
you
I
had
have
sushi,
accounts
so
payable on negative
paying-
126, and I have Citi a check for 126.
Correct, because there's never a bill. So I'm saying, imagine you went to
Why
buy.
do you? So on your screen, there's an extra 00 for Chase.
I already explained. Well, I use Chase. I don't know actually why I use Citi. I was supposed to use Chase anyway, but it doesn't make a. Oh, that's why.
Supposed to edit it.
Yeah, the check. My checks will go. Wait, did it? We have money. We have money at Citi.
Citi, I don't.
No. It's a negative 126. No, that's exactly what it's not. I'm putting it
So it's
back.
supposed to be in Chase.
Supposed to be in Chase, yeah.
Okay, fine. Now it's
I
good.
remember at one point we had one more deposit of $250 that I didn't put in. We would have ended up like with $9 in the account based on what we just did. But so I said, well, remember Plony Almoni? He only owed us $300. We took $1,000, so it became a negative $700. The same thing is here. If you don't have a bill from National Grid and you pay 126 using accounts payable, it will give you a negative 126 in the left window because there's no. So what you do is you could create now a bill and then apply the money towards it. You could do
Yeah,
that.
I did that, and now it's good. Now it's fine.
No, you only see the loss of $0. You never apply the credit to the bill. You have to go back now. If you made a bill, go to the vendors, pay
Yeah.
bills, and see watch National Good show up, and
Okay, now
apply.
I pay selected bill. Hello?
Huh?
I pay selected bill.
Yeah. No, but do you see on the bottom there's a credit of 126? Do you see that somewhere?
Pay total available credit is is 126. Yeah.
Yes. So you have to apply the credit to the account or set the credit, and that way pay off the bill with $0.
Oh, so you do set credit and then you do done.
Yeah.
Check it off.
It was a vendor. It's like a paid bill. You set the credit as it tells you, and then you press pay selected bill. In the bottom right is pay selected bill.
Now pay selected bill.
See, set credit.
Done.
Done, and then pay selected bill, and then it's going to issue you a 0 stub.
Oh yeah.
Right. It's called.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to delete. I have 2 0 payment stuff because I played this game twice, but doesn't make a difference.
Okay, so what did we do? What was after that we did?
No, so that's it. I showed you how to do it, and then I did the credit memo.
Okay,
The same
so
thing
do
with
that one.
the same idea that I did with not entering the
So we did it for Mrs. Who did we do it for?
We did it for Chaim Yankel.
And what did we did the
We
cost
wiped it. We gave him 75. Well, you did
web
Mrs. Cook.
design, right?
You got Mrs. Cook's 140. You did that already?
No, I didn't do that.
Okay, well, it's two separate things, you know. Yeah,
No, first is Yankel Chaim for $75.
No, Yankel Chaim I did through a credit memo.
Right, so I did credit memo. I went into that.
For 75. And
And I
Mrs.
just do
Cook,
save and close.
No, you save it. Then I went back into the invoice.
You have a refund available?
No, I said I left it as a. I just I didn't. Well, you can apply it right now to the invoice.
So
I showed you how you could. I didn't apply it to the invoice.
No.
What I did was I did not apply it to the invoice. I left it as a credit.
Oh,
And then I
and
went
then
back
you went
in,
back and you paid
and I
it.
said to the invoice, I made like I made receive payment, and to receive payment, I apply the credit, not new money.
Okay, and now you did, and then,
Mrs. Cook, I did through a journal entry. Same thing.
Oh,
I credited the account receivables. Just for those who
Mrs. Cook.
see general. I'm opening up for those who I went too fast. You could see I did over here. We
make a
credit
general journal?
and make a general on the company general journal.
Where do I
I credit again. Account receivables go
Company.
away with the credit.
make a general journal?
Goes away with the credit.
So I do Mrs. Cook.
Yeah, that's the name.
What's the account?
Accounts receivables. The accounts receivables owes 140.
Receivables
So I credit the receivables 140.
is 140.
I put her name Mrs. Cook,
Mrs. Cook.
and I debited the bank Chase. So this just wipes out the general account receivable, but you have to go back into her bill and set the credit.
Pay bills and set the credit? You mean to
Receive payments.
payments?
Yeah.
Receive payments. And you put in Mrs. Cook for the amount of 140 and that's it. And then I do save and
Yeah. So we go back to receive payments. I think we did already.
save and close. And now you do record deposits and I record all three.
What?
Now I record deposits all three.
There's only two deposits because Mrs. Cook's journal entry went straight to the bank. I deposited straight to Chase.
So I could do both of them together.
It's only the $1,000 from pulling out money and the $3 that we have sitting around.
What's the date for pulling out money?
The date that's in the window there. It said we got a 525. So as I put 6/9, 6/10, yeah. And the other one I put from 525. Yeah.
For which one? For the $3?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So now to go back to our balance sheet,
520.
we'll see that we really pretty much we only have one account receivable open, right? Now, again, don't double click here because this is the confusing view.
What's the number supposed to be?
1350 to 25. Customer receivables, the balance summary, and all you have here is one guy opening 1352.
Yeah, okay, I got that.
Okay, so this is the idea of the balance sheet. We set the credits. It's know how to set credits because people sometimes give refunds or credit memos, but it's also sometimes when the checks were written out the wrong way, not straight to the bill, or the payment was differently. Also, sometimes you got third-party payments. Someone doesn't actually give you a check. You have to. Someone else gave you money.
Right.
So you go. You entry. They have to go back and set the credit. Okay. One second. Okay. I'm still halfway in this scenario here. We have the mortgage broker told the bank updated financials of 531. Okay, this is with this and stuff. So we're gonna do these adjustments, not from 531. We'll do this anyway from 1231, which is tomorrow. So we'll put it in now. It's actually perfect timing. So we know we had an expense this year. We're looking at office supplies 177. We paid to and that's paper, 177. Also had rent expense of 1,500. But now we started the company in two sections. We started it in November, then we went back to June. So let's assume for a second the first half was as we were in business all year, even from last year. Let's just take now the last part and assume we went to business in November. So we have $71 of supplies still on hand. So we only had $106 expense because the other 71 we still have as an asset, still there, office supplies. The rent, which was 500 a month, right? So we took at 1,500. We had 2 months rent. So one way of doing it is say, okay, we paid rent $1,000, and we still have an asset of prepaid rent of $500. Now, on a cash basis, you could include the 30 days ahead. So you could get away without making an invoice. Say, okay, on December 31st, I wrote out a check for $500 for January's rent, and I'm taking the expense now. That's the number one on a cash basis. It's definitely good because you paid it out now, because next year you're only going to claim 11 months of rent because January's already came in the previous year, unless on December 31st, you can again take the 12th month for the following year. But in the accrual method, really you're supposed to make adjustments, right? You're being nitpicky, saying, oh, I'm counting money I got based on the income. I'm counting expenses based on I'm counting income based on the invoice. I want to rack up my expenses based on the bill I got. Granted, we'll let your bill is really due now. It's for period, you realize the expense now. So, for example, let's say I never even paid rent. I moved in November and I owed the guy 2 months rent. Because I had 2 months rent, because I already the expense of $1,000. So you could take the $1,000 expense even if you never paid it, but you want to go now and take $1,500. Okay, we say leave $500 for next year. So now we're going to make a general journal entry. Custom company. One more journal entry. We can make both things in the same entry. We're going to make this dated R. Right, by date R takes me to the last day of the year, which is tomorrow. And I'm going to put in, we're going to take away the expense. So we're going to put, if we credit the expense, we're putting it back into an asset. Let's see. Office supplies is an expense. That goes into the credit debit side. I'm saying I still have $71 of office supplies, but we got to give it another name. So we'll just call it, actually, I think office supplies expense would be the real expense. So what you could do is you could theoretically Control A. You could just again travel expense, rent expense. You might say, you know what, office supplies. You might say supplies expense, or you could say office supplies used. But regardless, once I change that name, if I go to back to my journal entry, right, we're discussed in today's class, the window, we have multiple windows open. So we have here office supplies, and office supplies doesn't exist anymore. When I press tab, it says countless because we already changed what used to be office supplies to expense. So I'm going to set it up to asset account, other current asset, right? But now we should be able to do this very quickly. It's not income, we're making an asset. It's not account receivables, it's not, we're thinking other current asset. Prepaid expenses, we have right here. That's going to be our rent. Continue. And we're going to have office supplies as an asset. And then we're going to do also the rent expense. I'm going to take $500 because $500 would be prepaid rent. Prepaid rent. And this is going to be This is going to be, again, another current asset, prepaid expenses. So I have here save and close. So I have the $71 credit. I'm taking away expense of $71. I'm taking away an expense of $500, and I'm putting them into two assets. One other thing we had to do now, if you recall, it shows us we had depreciation expense. If you recall that a long time ago, now is the time to do depreciation expense. It's the end of the year. We have 2 months. We got our copier. We said November, so we have to take now $40 for depreciation expense. Put all our journals into one $40 depreciation expense. This goes into accumulated depreciation. Save and close. Okay, I'm going to leave it open for a minute for people to catch up. I'll look at a question if anyone has a question here. This is the journal entry which we're going to make to close out the year. Or, yeah, $71,540. Where actually, this is the wrong side. Sorry, the depreciation expense is on the expense side. And this is accumulated depreciation. Accumulated depreciation is a credit. 40. Okay, 440. Okay, so I took away two expenses and actually created a new expense of $40. And let's see here. P has a question on what we just said. Hello? So we answered what are the debits and credits. We did that just now. This is taken care of. Okay, you can raise your hand again if you have a question. Okay, so I'm going to press now save and close. Or actually, I'm going to do save a new, and I'm not going to actually save another transaction. I'm just going to show you. If you recall before, I received the payment of $1,000 from Poloni Amoni. We had $700 extra, so I made a journal entry of $700, and I made unearned for $700. Theoretically, we could have done that in one journal entry. I'm going to mimic it, but I'm not going to do it. If I would have done accounts receivables, let's start with the full number. That's always easier to do. $1,000. We would either put it into undeposited funds, which is another asset, $1,000, and we break it up. We say three accounts payable, receivable was 300 for Poloni Amoni. Unearned revenue would have been $700. This is how you would have done, and they both balance out to $1,000. Go and set the credit because the $300 didn't automatically go to his bill, but at least you could tie together, because sometimes the guy says, "Oh, where did I get the $300? Where did I get the $700?" But when he remembers he got the $1,000 in one shot, that he does remember. So sometimes it's good to keep the whole, right? So instead of receiving $300 and then saying a journal entry, I got $700, and I'm just putting it on in revenue, and then maybe the dates are differently and they don't match up. So the best way to do it will be to say, you know what, I got $1,000 one time, and I broke it up in accounts receivables, 300 and 700. That will be another way of doing it. Yeah. Okay. So this takes care of the bottom half of class 14. We discussed how to take the $1,000, pay off credits, set credits, how to do the journal entries. We can look now at our balance sheet, which needs refreshing, and our P&L needs refreshing. P&L needs refreshing because our rent went down. Oh, you see here? We're still on 1228, so it still shows $1,500. If I would press R, the $1,500 would go down to 1,000. The 177 would go down to would go down to 106. Let's refresh it. 1,000 and 106. Beautiful, amazing. Now, this is correct for a P&L type of view, which is, we did the accrual method. We made the adjustment for the rent, what it really is, and we put it out. But the fact is, the $1,500 went out of my account with a check. So where am I going to remember to claim the $500 on next year's P&L? I'm not going to write out a new check for $500, but I really had the expense. Just I paid it out last year. And I could recognize it. Same thing with the office expense. I paid out the 177 in one shot. So you tell me to break it up, making an adjusting entry at the end of the year to take away $71. How am I going to reclaim that $71 next year? I know I have the asset. Where's this here? Balance sheet asset. I know I have an asset of $71 of, this is 1231. Also got to put in the year. So now I have, when you put the right date, you have $71 office supplies, you have $500 prepaid rent, but the money's not going to leave my account. So if you call again, that's why we have what's called reversing entries. Just same way we had one time. We have and see the accumulated appreciation for $40 shows up because, as we explained, that on copiers and furniture, we don't bring down the value. The 2079 stays only 2039. It's $40, and it will grow and grow and grow until we wipe out. We have 2079 on the top, and it will wash itself out. But the physical item is here, and we don't take off the books until we furniture will take away the accumulated depreciation, as opposed to, we said, to the amortization expense, which is for intangibles, for patents, for loan costs, that we reduce the item itself. But back to what we were saying before, how do we get the reversing entry? So we have to go back to company, journal entries. We go back to our last entry of the year. Okay, clear this. We never did that. This entry, right? And the reverse will mean that on January 1, it's going to throw back the expense for supplies, will throw back the rent, and that's all good with one problem. Depreciation expense didn't disappear. It's supposed to stay because the expense is gone last year. It's going down in value. So you have to remember to take out the depreciation expense and accumulated from the reversing entry, and only leave the ones which are really going to come back as a new expense. Depreciation was an expense. We don't want to undo that expense, but the other ones will leave there. And January 1, which therefore, if we go to our P&L from 1 day later, right? We have a rent expense of 1,000 and office supplies is 106. But if I go plus one more day, it's going to bring me back in the full rent expense through January 1 was 1,500. The office expense is 77, but depreciation didn't disappear. It wasn't undone because we left it there. Okay, let's see. Is there new raising a hand? Is P still here? Wants to ask a question? If not, we will continue. So far, okay, well, when we did this format, so we have a negative net income of $6,700. But then again, assuming that this person rented his house in the summer, he could rent it out for $10,000, $12,000 and start collecting. He would have finished the year with a positive income of a couple of $1,000, but then again, he might have gotten interest from his $180,000 loan, and it goes on and on. What he has to do to keep afloat is continue doing web design, continue doing consulting, those are high paying items, $100 an hour, $75 an hour, and that way he could make a Shane Parnasa. Okay, I see you again. Hello? One second. Okay, and I see a hand coming back, but no one's coming out. No. I think P is on mute. Sorry, I don't hear anything. Okay. Okay, so we have here the menu. We had gone through file. We went through many of the options over here. We briefly went through edit. Edit is obviously preferences, and what the steps here is that you can edit accounts if you're in a chart of account, right? In chart of account, you could go now edit the account. You can also edit the preferences depending on which window you're in. If you're in customer center, edit will tell you something else. Edit will tell you that you could edit the customer. You can add a job. You could do transaction history. If you're in the vendor center, then you wouldn't be editing the customer, but you could edit the vendor, and you can make vendor active or inactive. You can do it from this menu. You can also do it from new vendor. You can also make up your active vendors with open balances. You could right-click the people and you can edit them and make them inactive. And once you make it inactive, you'll have to go back and say show all vendors and then reactivate them. These are many options you can do in edit. I had selected the preferences one, edit preferences. This is a famous window which has many, many options that we could customize. If you want the beep, you don't want the beep when you do a transaction, that's in general. We had the remembering the accounts. That's why when I wrote the check, automatically pre-filled accounts to assume that it's utilities, because it knows the vendor of National Grid, even though it wasn't a check before, it was a bill, but we said National Grid, the type of expense, the account that we use for it is a utility account. And we have we open the checks. You say you want to go to City or to Chase. That's why the City can't when I wrote the check one time. But you could change the default to Chase, and that will be the right check. The same thing when you want to pay bills. If I go to pay vendors, which bank account do I assume by default I want to pay with? If you go to vendors pay bills, top left corner, it's going to show me a bank account. It's coming out of, actually not the bottom, the account is from Chase. That's the default because we selected the default like that. You could change it. Some people want to pay bills from one and put money in another. And it's really up to people's preferences, how they want to do it. How do you want to write the checks? How do you want to pay the bills? And where do you assume you want to make deposits from? And then the sales tax, which we might do next class briefly. You might have finance charges on a customer if it's already, you could set the interest date. I believe there's a tshuva for Moshe if it's a corporation, there's no Shiloh B'chlal, you could assess finance charges because the company is not an actual person. You could give a grace period. You could give 0 days, 10 days, 20 days, whatever you want. Items in inventory we already enabled. We already went through that. There's currencies that you could use, multiple currencies. Jobs, and the assumption is that you only use one currency, and you can't change back if you once you move to multiple. It's going to tell you that you can't turn it off. It's going to stay there. Same thing with payments. You could automatically apply payments and calculate payments. This is what happens when you go to the bill and you make a check. it assumes you want to pay the whole bill. You might say payroll and employees. I may change it. I didn't notice it may have changed, so no, I'm not going to save them. Payroll. What's it called? We call quantity field. We call hour field in paychecks. You got paychecks that show an hour. You could copy earnings from previous paycheck. There's customizations for sick and vacation days, for workers' comp. You have so many types of reminders you could set up to remind you when you need to print regular checks or paychecks. So you could print overdue invoices, so you know who you can make a collection report from. And you could say, remind me 5 days before the check date, so you could print it and mail it on time. You could have invoices 5 days before the invoice date. Or over the invoice 5 days, it's 5 days after, and etc. Reports and graphs. We're going to do reports in detail in next class. That is ultimately the main reason why we put all this entry in, is to get different types of reports. We've been primarily dealing with the P&L, primarily with and the balance sheet, but there are many, there's a whole report center, and we see one of the most detailed sections of QuickBooks is in the drop down of reports, all different types. Even employees is a whole section, but it's not as lengthy as all the reports, how to analyze data. So that's about the edit preferences window. You could spend time here. We know about sending forms. We already know that our email address is going to be coming from info@ we do it all. What is this here? Here we go. Basic, my temp is that we have templates. We have we're using webmail. We have QuickBooks email. You could choose if you want to add a personal webmail. You would go and you would add your Gmail account or whatever other type of emails you have for your own company website. This is where you would set up where you're sending, where is it coming from. We have here the view menu. There's a top icon bar, which was minimized. This is another way how you could go, instead of going customer and drop down, vendor drop down, you click directly on where is this here? You have the bill. We have right here the bill tracker. We have here the income tracker, right? Income tracker should only have one more. It tells us we still have $75 which we didn't even create an invoice for, and we still have another open balance from Rabbi Gabbai. We also have our bill tracker. Instead of going to vendors in the drop down, vendors. So this basically it reshifted things. Right now you have the customers, and it moved out those icons, some of the options from the top down into icons. That's why we don't. We have a bill tracker, and we have here income tracker. It is still there. Customer centers take us quickly to the vendor center with one click. So that's one of the reasons why you would have in the view the icon bar, is that you'll be able to. I took off the top icon bar. It should disappear shortly. If it listens to me. The left icon bar is this thing, annoying thing that slides in and out. You can have icons all along the side, customers and bill trackers and income trackers. And you could take off the left icon bar and you could, hide the icon bar. Or you could have, so top icon bar brings it in and hide icon bar takes it out. Okay, so that's how we make the screen larger and we have more space to work in. Besides the icon bar, we can also have customize icon bar. Customize. When you have top icon bar, we could shift things around. You could drag. What is here? You could open up, and you could customize the icon bar. You could decide which a couple you could remove, delete certain icons from the top. That's as far as the view. And window, we have so many windows open here. I have so many windows I want to make close some. So I go window, close all. We'll close most of them until it gets stuck by a question. I want to save report, not save report. 1, 2, 3. Okay, memorize report. So I press cancel, and now it's going to stop it from closing more windows. So I still have a balance sheet open. I still have a profit and loss open. You can arrange them vertically. Arranging vertically means you have them all in rows going down, 1, 2 down, 1, 2 down, and 3 down, because that's 7. Or you could be window arranged. You could have them horizontally, which gives you. So obviously horizontally means it gives you more across, right? 1 row, 2 rows, 3 rows, as opposed to only 2 rows before. If I would close out a couple of them, like I close out my accountant center, and I'll close out my time by job, and I'll close out one of my P&Ls, which are extra. Now you would see if it's vertical, they might find room to squash and forward them. Actually, they don't. Window horizontally, it's not going to change because it's a square screen that I'm working from. I'll get cash flows. We're going to learn another time. But okay, in the case we only have 3, this is where I have a choice. If it's vertical, I'll give 1, 2, 3 across. If it's horizontal, I'll give you 1, 2, 3 across. And then it has to mix and match the best way if you have more than 3. So now we know what the windows are and how to arrange the windows. You could cascade them, which just lies on one top of the other. Or you can arrange the icons, which in this case, we don't have what to arrange. Lists we did also, depending on the window, you have the chart of accounts lists, which you could get to by pressing Control A. We have item list, recall, but now we have bookkeeping. We have 4 things that we sell in services, 1, 2, 3, 4. We also have inventory. We have we have TLS. We also have reimbursable expenses, and we have total reimbursable expenses as a group. This was added in by QuickBooks by itself. And if you go further down to fixed item assets, we don't have fixed assets. QuickBooks offered to keep track of our purchase ID and description of the assets we have. Right, we only have a computer and a copier, so we don't have QuickBooks tracking it for us, but we could have QuickBooks track the purchase price and make the depreciation for us annually. We have price levels. Sometimes we have different prices for different services. I mean, even though I have my items, let's see here, I have my items that have a general price of $30, $100. I might decide to make a rate level list based on different customers who use more frequently, so I could give them more frequent discount. Right now, there's nothing here, but you should be able to edit it. Let's see here. This is lists. Price. The price level could be on an item. Probably that's what. Let's try here on the. Let's pick inventory part. Lists. Price level. It didn't bring it up. It should. 1 second. Price level list. Let's edit the item. Inventory part. Here. Yeah. Oh, so if you have to change price. First, you have to change prices of the service. Let's see here. Here you could adjust prices. You adjust the price of marked items by a certain percent up or down. Once you adjust prices, then you'll have a new price, current price, new price. You'll have. This is if you want to change in the middle. You want to give a discount due to the economy. Say I'm giving 20% off. So now, every time we're offering bookkeeping instead of $30 for $24, etc. Those are all options you can do within QuickBooks. Again, we had the issue with inventory at hand. We could always right-click, not on this on an inventory part, and we could adjust the quantity. But keep in mind that it might affect your average balance because QuickBooks uses perpetual. Like you can do the value or the quantity, but QuickBooks takes the average balance and uses that to enter. So the value for the average for the inventory. We also had the payroll item list, which is many options here. Salary two. Actually, I wanted to edit the salary two compensation, salary one compensation as an hourly wage. That was correct. So if I would have gone back, again, we know how to create payroll items. We go to the employee center, and for example, Mrs. Fine, which we had last time, we had created salary two, which was really an annual thing. I went back. We created salary one. What is the benefit of that? Since she's salary one, I go to the paycheck. We had this issue, which was unplanned. We go into paycheck detail. We can actually put in here, if we edit her salary two to salary one, I could put an hour. The rate is $15 an hour. The hours are 20 hours, and automatically calculates the check as $300. It didn't change the net amount. It's still the same $277.05. But when you have an hourly, right? It's if you have an hourly item, then the rate of the hours time, or the rate per hour, and the hours will actually create the total, which is the check, as opposed to before when we accidentally press salary two as wages, annual wages as opposed to hourly, then it wasn't running through properly. We just made a lump number rate 300. But this is actually double as a reclarifying what the way is. So we have now, for those who want to know, Pinchas Tadris, when he gets paid, his info is PRH. PRH was an example of hourly rate of $40, but it pulls him from a timesheet, from time data. So when he does 5 hours of work, he gets a paycheck. But right, we open his check, we got his detail, and it pulled off rate of 4 hours. This is as if you put in a timer of $40 an hour to $5. That's what it does. So it's a combination of hourly wage pulled in from a timesheet. Yankel Fishbone, Yaakov Fishbone, he was a salary one, payroll info. This was annually 26,000. So every payroll of the 26 payrolls of the year, he gets $1,000, which is fine. We did as an hourly called salary one. This is the same thing that you pick up off the payroll info tab, but we were able to manually enter the rate $15 times 20. Okay, that is pretty much the review summary of class 14. We went through list assets, and we just did not do the last item, which is number 10, accountant. An accountant, we discussed briefly that you could make general journal entries and send general journal entries. This is what accountant does. It's also called batch enter transactions. This is what someone once asked me about taking an Excel sheet and putting it in. Right here is where you would copy in either, let's say, take a Chase for a bank for whatever reason. I want to record a lot of payments. I could copy and paste down the row, and I would just put dates, and I could take it from an Excel and just drop in a report, dates, check numbers, or I could leave it blank. If there's no check numbers, if it's like credit cards, for example, credit card charges, I'll go to the first one and I'll put dates. There's no numbers, but you want to put in the payee, which is who you paid. In this case, there might have been Con Edison, which is utilities, or again, you might be account payables because we're paying off the amount that was outstanding, but they're going to remind you again when you must choose the vendor when you're using an account payable, which is fine. And you will put in the amount. So you'll be able to put in the accounts, which is the chart of accounts. The amount is a dollar amount, and the payees. The payees is necessary by expenses. That's a must. You want to be able to, I mean, truth is the only thing that's really a must is the amount. There's a star there because if you don't put in the amount, it's going to be zero. It's not going to go in. And accounts is based on our preferences. We said it has to have an account. You can't put in without an account, right? Our edit preferences is general. This company preferences or accounting here. No, use account number, require accounts. I said you must have an account because by forcing me to put an account, each time I put a transaction, at the end of the year, if I have several, which I didn't classify right, I put a question mark, I put ask my accountant or uncategorized, not a problem. If I would uncheck require accounts and I have 1,000 transactions, it will be crazy work at the end of the year. And if not impossible, to remember what all those transactions are supposed to be, what type of accounts they are. And even if I did remember, it will be a lot of work and it might not be a good time. So that's what we have. The default is you need an account. So you put an account, you put the money, but you'd like to know which people are taking your money, and that's the pay. And as far as deposits, you can also do that. You can make, when you could go actually clear. The same way we do in sales, we do customers and we enter a sales receipt. Enter sales receipt. And we're not putting it against invoice, we collect money. And we're gonna, if we do a sales receipt, it's a cash sale, then we have to make a deposit. And the deposit transfers over the information for the customer. You could actually do it all straight from the deposit window. You could say received from, let's say, Gabai or Cohen or whatever, whoever name you like, and you could say it's sales, and or your income account is actually service revenue because you have services, so it's service income, and we could put the amount. And that way, in one shot, instead of entering a sales receipt and then depositing the money, you deposit the money and you write who's received from. Because in the check register, the bank doesn't have the received from. It has the payee. See, you go use register. This is always the payee. You could throw in a number even by deposit, just says it was undeposited funds. If you double click, it will tell you it was from Rick Cohen or whoever this was. This card changes. This deposit 200 happened to Rick Cohen as well. But the received from, let's say again, in the $140 to Mrs. Cook only shows up here because it came directly from the journal entry. Right? Double click journal entry, and Mrs. Cook will show up in the name, and that's this $75, which was a deposit, is by default a deeper. So again, the check register window is not reliable. Sometimes there's no name. But it says here it's payee and it's really from someone. Sometimes the right name is there, right? National Grid is a payee in this case. Mrs. Cook is here from a journal entry. But if you go and make the deposits window, then you're going to actually see why you got the money. Is it for accounts receivables or is it a new sale? Again, accounts receivable is not new money, it's just collecting money on the sales made previously. Today's discussion, anyone has questions, is free to raise their hand. I didn't see, actually, like, only one question was typed in the Q&A. Okay. Yeah. Anyone here have a question? Raise your hand, and we'll try to get you through it. Otherwise, next we're going to deal with the next class. We'll throw out the last 8.
That was
Hello?
on.
Yeah, now I hear you.
Oh, okay.
Before you were on, I saw muting. Like, give me 1 second. We're gonna throw out right away for the first few minutes those questions, and we'll give you the answers at the end of the class of all the questions, and we'll go through the reports. Actually, I think we did lists already, so I could cross out lists from. Yeah, class 15. We're gonna go straight over to reclassify transactions. We already did the batch enter. So we just need to do. We explain batch enter. We have to just do the reclassification reports. Yeah. How can I help you?
Okay, so it went a little bit fast today, and therefore I don't have the exact numbers by the balance sheet. I must have missed out some stuff. If it's possible to review or something.
I could send you a copy of the balance sheet and the P&L the way it's now. I can email you a copy of the P&L and the balance sheet the way it's supposed to be, and you'll see the. What is this here? Close out.
Not necessarily will I know how to fix it though.
Yeah. I tried reaching out a couple of times during the class.
I know.
And none of the times was
I know. Yeah.
voice coming through.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, the recording probably will be available tomorrow as well, so you could review with the recording.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Is there any particular? There's 1 or 2 questions I could answer your question. I can't redo the whole class in a few minutes. Do you have one or two questions that I can answer specifically, or you would
Well,
prefer?
they were just bits and pieces all over, and I just, at this point, there are too many. I don't even remember where they were, all the details. So I don't know. Never mind. Okay.
1 second. I feel you have a question.
Yeah, you mentioned about recording. You're going to send us a recording of tonight's session?
1 second. Yeah, actually, it's recording. I don't deal with that. I just try to record a class while I'm here. You could reach out to Firma,
Okay.
and she could send out the recording.
Okay.
Usually, it's sometimes upon request because it's not always okay. No one shows up to class to just watch recordings.
Right, of
I don't
course.
have class, but
Of course.
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
But is there any particular one or two questions that I can answer for you from today?
No, I just would like to review it again as
Okay.
Chazara,
Yeah, for sure, not a problem. Hello? Do you want? I have a few minutes now. If you want to ask me a question, I could walk through one of the examples that you have questions on. Hello?
Oh, okay. I didn't know you were talking to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, no one else raised their hand, so I have until 15, 20 minutes. If someone else raises their hand, I'll take another question. But in the meantime.
Okay, so let's can we start with a balance sheet and then work
Okay,
out
start with
backwards?
okay, fine. Let's share the screen. I'm on the balance sheet statement. Actually, statement of cash flows. That's one of the reports we'll do next time. Here, I'm in the balance sheet.
Okay, so where should I go?
What's the balance sheet?
Okay, right. Okay, so
the bank will be off because I collected money from Mrs. Cook. We got money from Plenty of Money. We got money from.
right.
So
My Chase account is at negative 1243.11.
we yesterday it was a different amount. Monday was.
I was trying to kind of follow, the Ploni Almoni, the 1,000, I tried recording different things, but maybe I did it wrong. I don't know.
Well, last time we had like $1,500 out of the bank. Now we put in 1,000, so you should be. Maybe you didn't deposit 1,000.
Could be.
So by the way, what?
Could be. So where is that?
Go make the banking, make deposits, see if the $1,000 is there.
So where, I don't know, when I go to banking, make deposit?
Banking, make deposits. Well, yeah, you have a window that comes up with money. If
Yeah.
sometimes it doesn't pop up, close out and start it again. I explained to
Nothing came up.
by me, it's coming up empty, so you should have it in the bank.
No, nothing.
So have 1,000 transactions. We don't have 1,000 transactions. Just start like this. Go to the customer center. Customer center. The only we have right now is Rabbi Gabay.
1 second, I should.
So who do you have open?
Okay, so I should go to Rabbi Cohn. I see you have Rabbi.
Customer. No. Go to customer center. Stay. Who do you have in the left tab? How many open balances you have?
On the left tab, I have Rabbi. Well, I have. Let me just see what you have. I still have Ploni Almoni for 300 and Yankel Chaim for 75.
Okay, so the only thing you do is Mrs. Cook. You didn't do anything for Plenty of Money.
I guess not.
Right.
I thought I did, but
No. So you could do it the other way. I told you to do. You could do company journal, make general journal entry.
Okay. So what I wrote is, let me just see what you have there.
What? I have nothing with journal entry. I'm creating a new one.
Okay, so what I had is the office supply
Yeah.
for 71 credit, and I have office expense for 71,
Oh, this one.
right? Hello?
You're in the reversing entry or in the first entry?
The reverse. The reverse of GJE 6.
No, so go. So your journal entry 6 looks like this. Your reversal has 2
No,
ones left.
1 second. Why do I have undeposited funds 1,000? 1 second. Something is majorly wrong here. Okay. So
Yeah.
I don't have rent expense. I don't have all that.
Where do you have where do you have on deposit funds 1,000?
I don't know.
In the journal entry?
Never mind. I obviously I was wrong. Let me just see. So let me go to rent expense.
Right. I could do like this. Okay, I'll let you share your screen. You could share a screen.
Okay. Okay. Did it work?
1 second.
No.
I'll try again. 1 second.
Well, whenever I press share screen, it tells me host disabled participant screen sharing. So then I press OK and nothing happens.
1 second here. Okay. Now let's try share again.
I just did again. Same thing happens.
Oh,
Okay.
now it should work.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm seeing.
So this is wrong here. What was I supposed to do here? Here was 500 from, okay, forget it. You see, this is,
No, the rent. The
1
you
second.
didn't do complete rent.
One
Okay, now
second.
before you do it, wait. Press first of all clear, or like you don't want to do any changes. The problem is also your reversal is also on 12 is the next day. So therefore the entry is supposed to be originally on 12/31. So when you press reverse, it's going to be your on January 1. No, this is not your reverse. So this don't edit it. Clear this. Clear up what you just did.
What, go back to 30?
Bottom right, bottom right. On the screen, all in the bottom right. Clear. Not with the yeah, clear. Just go back to press the left arrow on the top again.
Yep.
The left arrow.
This here?
Left arrow. You know what's left arrow?
This here?
Yeah, that's left arrow, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Press again. See. Okay, I only see the conceal Mrs. Okay, depreciation expense. Go again further in. So that's your 3 that we did. Okay, we don't have. So you don't even have the journal entry from today. Not that or the reversal. Go to the right. 4, 5, 6. You don't have 5. And journal entry 6 was reversible. Okay. by me, journal entry 5. Okay, what was my 4? Let me see, what was my 4? Oh, plutonium money 700. So you didn't need the reverse 700 either.
Right.
So holding right journals entry 6 and 6R. So then the Mr. Cook was supposed to change Mr. Cook to number 5. The number, entry number 5. So we should get that out of the way. And say, and press arrow to the right, so you get out of that one. Yeah, save it. Okay, now you can uncheck adjusting entry. We go for now. Go up first to customer center, and then see where you have your customers. Oh, so you have a very wide screen. That's why you never see anything over here. You have to pull over from your right. You have an arrow button. Your screen doesn't look the same as mine. No, you have to
Now,
drag the right.
what is that? These two you don't have.
What?
The 300 and the 75 you didn't have.
Correct. But I say you. The problem is you're missing half your window, and enlarge your window. The next to the X. Yeah. The problem is I don't know why you made this whole description too big. You gotta maybe push that arrow.
I don't know. This is what it is. What am
No, there's this not on top of the word attach. No, open the thing again. What did you just press?
I just minimize it and, I make it smaller.
Where? From where?
From on top over here.
No, not that. No. Underneath, on the lower down. Right on to the right. There's an arrow. Press
Yeah.
that.
This here?
What does that do?
Show list and details.
Yeah, click on it.
This here?
Click on it.
I did already.
You did?
Yeah. It went to customer information.
What's customer spend is supposed to look? Wait, you did that?
Again?
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, that just happened from you clicking that arrow on the right side, yeah?
Right.
Okay, this is how all your sentences are supposed to look like. Customer, vendor, the way it was before, is very unhelpful.
Mm-hmm.
Because all the time I'm referring to the bottom right over here, the blue and white. That's how you could see what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So you never received this $1,000. I don't know why you said get it on deposit of 1,000. Okay, maybe you did, but you never applied it to this thing. So go back to press banking, make deposits. Nothing yet. Click X.
What do you want me to do now?
Close out the make deposits window.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
Oh, 1 minute. I don't know where I went. Okay. Hello? Hello?
So hello?
Yes.
Okay, and I'm stepping on the device right now. My computer shut. Okay, so what are we doing right now?
Oh boy. Hello.
Yeah.
The whole thing just shut off on me 1 minute.
Okay.
Okay, so where do you want me to go?
I wanted to see your balance sheet because you told me that I'm trying to see if you said you really have undeposited funds $1,000. When window balance sheet,
Windows or by report?
No, but window. You have a balance sheet open. Click down window. You have a balance sheet number 6. So would you say you have $1,000 undeposited?
I don't know. I think by the
Yeah.
journal
Okay.
entry.
Okay. You started doing it. Okay. Do like this again. Make customers make general company make general entry. Okay, you make on 0609. That's what it said in today's class. That was the first thing actually. The first thing we did today is 06. It was even before Mrs. Cook. So yes. Just type 0609. You have to search for the calendar. Type 0609.
Okay.
Okay. Whichever screen you're in, enlarge it. So like this, you could see what you're doing. Okay. 0609. This is going to be unclicked adjusting entry because it's not adjusting entry. And make it number 4 in your case because 5 is already used. Let's make it number 4. Put in the go to account. Okay, you're gonna write undeposited funds. Just type undeposited. It's it. UN tab. You're gonna put in $1,000. Again, you want to use the keyboard. You press tab. You don't have to use a mouse. 1,000. Tab again. Tab. Okay, now next line. Not 100,000. 1,000.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Shift tab.
1 second.
Go shift tab. I'm telling you how to use the keyboard. We'll go backwards.
If you don't make, what was it again? 1,000.
Yeah. Okay.
Comma after the 1, that's what happens. It becomes 100,000, I guess.
No, it doesn't.
Well, that's what happened.
Press 0 a bunch of times. No. Okay, click the next line. Click down. Underneath undeposited funds. Okay, you put over there accounts receivable. Okay, and you're gonna put 300. You're gonna go change 1,000 to 300. Okay, click underneath. You don't have to type anything more. You just type 300. Don't worry about send.
Yeah.
QuickBooks is smarter than it.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Now you put unearned income. Type unearned income. You might want to capitalize the first letters. Anyway, that's up to you. You press tab, and it's going to set you up an account. You're going to say it's set up. Okay, you can do select in the bottom. Other current asset. There we go. And that's for prepaid. We said it's no, sorry. It's drop down again. Other current liability. And it's going to show you right there. It's security deposits, retainers from customers. You see that in the box?
Mm-hmm.
Tap. So this is our retainers. Press continue. And you can, okay, save and close. Right in the name column, put it by Plonial Money in the second and third one. So PL. Just type PL and it should come up. Go up one line. Up one line. Just arrow up.
Yeah.
PL.
Okay.
So enter. Save, okay, save and close, or Alt A. It's not in balance. Oh, you didn't put 700. See, type in 700, under 300, type 700.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. That's it. You don't type any further. Just type the
Nice.
dollars.
Okay.
Okay, good. Save and close. Yes, okay, press OK. Now go, you see an icon. Oh boy. You see, I don't know why I see this whole thing. You have an icon here in front of you for customers.
This here? View
Yeah, I don't know why I'm seeing a box over. What?
this here? Do you see this?
Yeah. Click on that. Straight there. That's the
This?
yeah, straight there. See
Okay.
Planet Money Zero?
Yeah.
Good, beautiful.
Now we have to do the same for Yankel.
Right? No. Right click Yankel Chaim. It's a shame because I'm teaching. Each one is a different skill. Go to the bottom. Create credit memos. Two down. Stop there. Credit memo. $75.
Where do I put it? By the amount?
No, but item you put in one. Item put in WD. Just tab. Quantity is one. Okay, you don't even do quantity. Just press save and close. Okay, so now he's gone. Retain visible. Retain available credit. Good. Okay. The Yankel Chaim is also there, right?
Yeah.
Now right click Yankel Chaim again. Receive payments. One up, one down, two down. Right there. Now you'll see his bill still open because if you click on it,
Yeah.
you'll see on the bottom there's a apply credit. You see there's a credit for $75.
Right.
So go apply credit.
So what do I? Yeah.
Yeah. And press done. Actually, you have to click on the invoice first, then grab it. Click on the invoice.
This
On the left, no, we're under the check. The left, all in the left.
Yeah?
Select that, select that invoice. Good. Okay, press OK. It says nothing left. Save and close. Okay, so now you applied the invoice, but you also you made a memo credit, but you also applied the credit to his bill. Now you have to go right click on Ploni Amoni, same thing. In that case, there's there's a credit of $300. Receive payment. His bill's still open, even though it's zero. So click under the arrow. First click under the arrow. So what QuickBooks wants to do automatically, press yes, is use $300 payment. When you press apply credit, it's going to add a column called credits, and it's going to take off the payment. Yeah, click on that credit, available credit. So a little
press
box.
done.
No, there's a little box. You got to select the credit. Available credits is a little checkbox. Click
Yeah.
there, underneath it.
Yeah.
Right there. Yeah, click on that. Good. Now you took the credit. Done. Sometimes you could choose an amount. Sometimes he has a bigger credit and you're not using the whole credit. Sometimes he has a credit for $500 and you're only going to select $300. Okay, save and close. Yeah. So now you did two parts of tonight, several parts of the class. About the invoices, the bills, you'll look in the video. They go to window. Oh, actually, make deposits.
What is it?
Thank you. Make deposits. Close it and do it again. No, you have to close the window. There's a gray X. The gray X, not the blue one. Yeah. Yeah, see, now you have $3 and $1,000. Remember those?
Mhm.
So put in the $3 from 525. You put in $1,000 for 6.9. And your bank will be not so overdrawn.
Okay, so I press OK.
No, you highlight them. You didn't select them.
Okay.
Zero payment selected. But I did one at a time because it's just to show you how you stop and change the date for You know, I did 525, I put in 525 or 26, 69 went in 69, but it doesn't make a difference. You press OK, save and close, the bottom, or deposit.
I don't see that.
You're missing it because your screen is not big enough. You got to lift your screen up higher.
Not going. Can't get it right. How do I get rid of this here? Maybe that would help.
Okay, so go to View, hide icon bar. Good.
Okay,
There we
that's
go.
what did it.
Save and
Okay.
close. Now your bank, if you go to the balance sheet or your bank or register, whatever you want. Now register is going to bring up plenty of money's register. You're going to close them out. Close this. If you close out the centers, you can't be in the centers.
Again, what do I have to do?
Close out the center again. If you're on a vendor or you're on a customer, it's going to bring up their individual register. So you
Right.
can't be on a customer or so you
Okay,
go
so I have to X out over here.
yeah, X that out.
Okay.
It can't be highlighted on the customer. So X this out also. Okay, now you see your bank. You're down to 240, right? 240.11.
Yep.
That's my bank balance as well.
And that's what it's supposed to be?
It's not a good place to be negative
No,
240.
no, I mean to say, is that what you have?
I just said that's also my account balance.
Oh,
I
okay.
just overrode your screen, and you're gonna see my screen right now.
Uh-huh.
And you're gonna see my
Okay,
balance, right?
perfect. Right.
But you still didn't. You did the check to National Grid. That part you did.
I think I did, but
You had to have done it because otherwise you would have $126 less drawn. You would have negative 114. So obviously you did it. The question is how you did it.
yeah.
Did you write the check? If you go to vendor center, do you still have 126 outstanding or not?
1 second. This is your screen or mine now?
Yeah, my screen.
Okay, so
Do you have National Grid for $126 or not?
Mhm.
It's a question.
Let me just see mine. So where would I go to? Vendors,
Yeah, you click on the icon called vendors, or you turned it
vendor
by.
center.
Yeah.
Okay. So where do I go?
Do you see National Grid owed 126?
Wait, on the side. 1 second.
Yeah. Well, if anyone has a question, raise your hand and I'll be able to.
No, I don't see National Grid at all anymore, right? I mean, now you see my.
No, National Grid has to be there, but.
Oh, yeah. It is there and it's 0, right?
Okay, fine, good. You pay them off.
Okay,
Yeah.
so everything's good?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Bye. Okay. So that was a review in the review. Again, if I see here, Aaron, or Phil, Salman, anyone has questions, still got a couple of minutes. Otherwise, we'll see you again on Monday, Mizrat Hashem, for the final class of the course. If people feel they want to have a review course, we can potentially do one more class. We'll be in touch.